if we as teachers aren't creating environments for students to have fun conversations and maybe sometimes uncomfortable conversations, well, how are they going to then become adults that can get along with people and see things differently?
Welcome to Key Connections for Educators. I'm Nate Key.
And I'm Hannah Connect.
I got my start in corporate training.
And I started out as a classroom teacher.
But the conversations between us, they've made us better educators.
And now we're inviting you into those conversations because learning out loud together changes everything.
So whether you teach students or you train professionals, we believe these conversations can connect us all.
Welcome back to Key Connections for Educators. We are in the middle of a two-part conversation with Cody Crooke. Part one, which I hope you go back and check out, we talked about games and the impact that they have on learning outcomes. In today's session, we're going to talk about projects and the impact that they can have on your classroom. Hope you enjoy the conversation as much as we did. Let's jump in.
You talked a little bit about projects as well.
Sure.
So, I mean, games are one way to engage, but I can remember a lot of projects when I was in school. Some of them were great, and some of them were not as great. So can you walk us through a project that sticks out in your mind as something that was really powerful?
So I can't take any credit for this. All credit goes to the 8th grade teachers at the school that I'm at, where I spent 1 year as a long-term sub in for one of my now current colleagues. Now I'm in 7th grade, so I unfortunately don't get to do this anymore because it was my favorite unit I've ever been a part of. It's an 8th grade English course, and it takes place at the very end of the year. And the challenge was for everyone. So there are 4 core classes I taught. Each one of those cores created and executed a 8 to 12 minute play that they put on in front of their entire grade. Costume, script, sound, lighting, prop, everything was created by the students and done by the students with me guiding them along the way. And so it was our drama unit. A lot of them, they took 2 different popular stories and mismatched them, etc. So one of my cores, which was a really good one, it was called Cinderfella. So Cinderella was a guy and all the gender roles were reversed. And then there was another one that was a Romeo and Juliet item where Romeo and Juliet were now married for a while and they're very unhappily married and they are trying to get rid of the other one. So rather than in the play Romeo and Juliet where they kill themselves to be with each other, here they're trying to get the other one to drink the poison to get rid of the other. They had to come up with an idea themselves. Then you put them in small groups. Hey, everybody share your idea. Now your group is coming up with an idea. So I think I had 5 groups pitch an idea and they had to write 2 minutes worth of script. They had to explain to their class, like sales pitch it. Hey, this is what our idea is. And then they would, from whether it was the middle, the beginning, the end of it. And then the class would then vote on, all right, which of these 5 are we taking to? And so I took the original group that pitched the idea and kept 2 or 3 of those kids on as the writers. And then every kid like ranked, what do you want to be? And I forget, again, it was like actor, set design, costume, sound, and lighting. And so for 3 weeks or so, they're literally creating this play. And then the whole grade's doing it. And our school has approximately 300 students per grade. So there are 12 different English classes going on. And so it's a big day in late May or early June where the kids get up in costumes. They're all in the auditorium and they watch each of the 4 core classes. They watch 3 plays. So like 3 10-minute plays, and you get them in, you get them out. And, I'm getting kind of like goosebumps thinking about it because it's really just one of those things where it's, oh my God, how did this work? Like did this just happen? And again, I only did it for 1 year. They had done it for years before me and they're still doing it in the 8th grade now. And so it's an absolute brilliant idea that I just fell into. And if I ever get a chance to do it again, I'm like, I got to do it. It's really incredible. It's like the definition of project-based learning. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, I love that it's in a way student-led because you've assigned those goals. And so they're owning their role within their small group
Right.
in order to fulfill the larger mission, which is putting on this play. But
Correct.
I'm just thinking of all the real world skills that are practiced in that particular activity and how much they're able to collaborate,
Yep.
communicate, advocate for different opinions, and
Yep.
then talk about the creativity, even limitations of creativity, and how are you going to work around these obstacles and
Right.
that. It's really cool. Being in middle school, though, and the public school setting, how do you balance the structure of curriculum standards with the freedom of doing something like that, that did take up some time for that project-based learning to happen and to do it well as a full 8th grade?
Well, it was a drama unit, right? So there's PA 1.A dot whatever, right? There's so many of them out there that we gave them a test on terms at the end, right? And they had to know all the terms. But because they had actively done stuff with stage right, stage left, like it was for many of them easier than a standard test. Also, very importantly, it's the end of the year, so you really know the kids. The kids ranked like what they wanted to be, and then I would look at that and I try to give everybody one of their top 3, but I also know that some kids can't work with some other kids, etc. And
Sure.
so, like, to me, I don't want to say that like the standards were compromised because they weren't. It sometimes, like, again, this was just one unit out of several units that we did, and this was the most non-traditional of them, that you have to give them those real world experiences, right? Where those memorable experiences that I think to be, fortunately, we're at a very good school. It's a high performing school. Test scores aren't a major issue for us, that you have a little bit more leash, that you're not bound by the, oh, well, what's the PSSA going to be type deal, that you can for that time justify a little bit of loosening the reins in the following the standards, yet you're applying everything that's in the standards. You're writing, you're revising, you're collaborating, you're building, you're creating. Like, I remember for the Cinderfella one, like they had to figure out how to create like a door out of car, and the door they did it. They created a door, right? And it's like a lot of, I have this like, hey, Mr. Crook, how can we? And many of the times my answer would be, how can you? Like, let's figure it out, right? I can't guide you. You're going to be in high school next year, right? And then, you're going to be in college next year. You're going to be in the real world next year. That we can't have this handhelding ad nauseum, that it allowed them, unlike any other unit I've ever taught in 19 years, to problem solve, and to execute.
This isn't me criticizing. This is the anticipating the critics that say, well, you're not creating a standard environment for everyone, though, because you've got one person that's doing the writing and one person that's doing the acting and one person that's doing the stagecraft. And so they're not getting a similar experience. And how do you justify that to the school board? And
Right.
I have my own opinion of that, but I'm curious about that from your perspective going through that.
I mean, my answer to that would be, well, then why has the word differentiation been a part of the professional educational setting since I graduated college in 2007? This is differentiation to the extreme. They all did take the same test. They were all graded based upon their individual pitch, right? Like what Hannah turned in for her idea, like I graded, right? So they all did some things that were the same. And so if you want to be a critic of this idea, I don't know if I'm going to be able to see eye to eye with you on educational philosophy and what's good pedagogy. So everybody has different opinions, and that's fine, right? But my children go to my school will go to my school where I teach. I teach in my district, and I'm so excited for my boys to be in 8th grade English and have that experience. And it's like, I'm sending my kids there to do it, and I cannot wait. Oh, I think that says something to its merits. Like, it's not like, oh, let me do this thing, but then give my kids the proper education. No, like, I want them to go here so they can do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Any teacher that's worth their weight in gold is going to look and understand that no two kids need the exact same experience.
Correct.
Whether it's they're doing a diorama and they get to pick the book that they're doing it on. We're not all going to pick Charlotte's Web, right? You're all going to go to the library and pick out different books and do a different book report. So I can't say that you all have the same experience, but you all read something and you did something with it.
Right.
And I think that's the same idea here. And that's really wise to especially put that standardized test in there where you've got something that you're actually measuring, but also give that flexibility and the ownership that Hannah was mentioning. I just think that's extraordinary.
And I've never been in the business world, so maybe I'm talking out of left field here, but I have to imagine if a friend of mine I was with this weekend works at Comcast, and he says there's like however many thousand like engineers in that. And so you could have the same title of a job, but you're still gonna have like a different experience, right? I have to think that there's a real life parallel to the fact that they're getting different experiences in their classroom.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Even if you have the same job title, you might be working in different projects, or you've got a different specialization than someone else does. And so, or interests, right? What interests one person may not interest another. And I think you want to be able to create something that's meaningful and has the context that they need. That's good. So let's say I'm going to try this out and I've never done it before, either project-based learning or some sort of gaming. Do you have any recommendations for me if I was getting started and want to explore doing something like this in a classroom?
Talking to colleagues, listening to podcasts. Edutopia is incredible. I get their weekly update and I've executed some of the things I get from there. You never know what's going to pop up in your inbox. And honestly, let's lean into AI a little bit here too, right? Go to ChatGPT and say, I'm teaching a unit on blah. I would like to create a game at the beginning, the middle, or the end that would serve these things. And you can copy and paste the standards that are in there. As much as AI is a struggle for education to deal with, because write my essay on Bloom, copy paste, turned it in. Obviously, that's terrible, but there are so many good elements to it that 10 years ago, I would not have had that resource. So I think really like a combination of all of those. To me, I think beginning and end of the unit's really like the best time for it, right? The beginning, you whet the appetite, and the end of the unit, you've had the learning, you've had the experience so that you get to implement it. Create your own play you can't snap your fingers and do that, right? You want to ask yourself, like, do I have the time to do it? And if you don't have the time, because I know in every educational situation, here's a new great idea. Okay, what am I getting rid of that has worked in the past? Particularly for that drama one, maybe you are studying a one-act play. Well, maybe this project's better. Experience for the kids. We got a lot of help from our librarian who has a builder lab like connected to the library. So that's something that's very unique to our school. So they could help build the things and store the items. And there was support from administration. So for something like that, a lot of middle schools, I think, are like team-based, not all, obviously, but are your colleagues on board with it and have that conversation? So
I love that you're plugging colleague collaboration because that
100%.
For me, I remember a mentor way back in college said the best teachers are the greatest thieves. And it's because we steal each other's ideas, because that's how you become a great teacher. And so that's how this podcast came about, was Nate and I were sharing ideas with each other for our adult learners to be more engaged in the lessons and the training experiences that we were doing in corporate. And I just love having you on here today to bring that experiential learning for middle schoolers and how that's really going to be memorable. That's really going to help them retain what we're wanting them to learn. But then just in thinking about how you're collaborating with your peers in fostering even more cool ideas and making those experiences for your students. So to close us out, what's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self about engaging students?
My younger self, do it, right? I don't know. I guess that's a silly Nike thievery there, but just engage them, make them have fun. I've leaned more into brain breaks as I've gotten older, and I believe there's a lot of merit that's both intuitive but also proven through study. Just recently, like one of my favorite ones, I have my tables, I have 9 groups of 3 around my room. So quick, it takes maybe 3 minutes is, okay, every table, rock, paper, scissors, winner stand up. Okay, table 1 versus table 2, go. And then you just winnow it down to the champion, and I give a piece of candy out to the winner and the table that person came from. So they're like actively like cheering on the people that defeated them. And I think that my younger self didn't do brain breaks enough. And I mean, just like do a ChatGPT, do a Google search, do an Edutopia search of brain breaks. And so it doesn't have to be these large, full period mafia, full unit, create your own play, drama unit. It can be these little like micro moments. Today in class, we have a study hall at the end of the day. They're tired, they're worn out, they're 13, they don't want to be still, but you have to create an environment where kids can still work. So in the middle, I took 3 minutes and I played Let's Play Four Corners. Anybody who wants to play, stand up. And I would close my eyes, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, point to that corner. See ya, you're out, right? And the kids were moving and they were active and they were excited when they won. The winners actually split the prize, which was very kind of them to do. So yeah, younger self and future self, keep leaning into the brain breaks, and don't think that games and project-based learning have to always be a macro thing. They can be a micro one as well.
That is something I really resonate with, Cody, because when I was younger, we were doing some training, and before each segment, we might have a little break, and then we'd come back, and the team was doing these icebreakers, and they had nothing to do with anything that we were talking about. They were silly.
Yeah.
And I didn't like them because I was like, what does this even have to do with what we're talking about in sales and service training and all those other things? And over time, I actually did think about the fact that just for a moment, somebody doesn't want to think about their job or math or Hamlet.
Correct. It's building
And you're just
community, it's
creating
building friendship, it's building positive memories. So many kids go through so many difficult things, right? And so if you just give these like little moments of fun, it can maybe distract them from the heavy weights of whatever's going on at home or in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you changed your tune, Nate, from the, why are we doing this, to like, oh wait, there is merit.
I should enjoy the people I'm with, right? And
right.
It's funny because I think it's wired into us to want to connect with people.
Yes, it is.
Want to share those experiences with people. So I think when you're giving them that experience of rock, paper, scissors with a cheerleader, or it's something like Mafia or a play, like I'm just giving people opportunities to connect. So as we wrap up, I'm really glad we've had you on today.
Appreciate it.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. And I know that conversations are something that's really important to you. So I thought maybe as we close out, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about why conversations are important and why they tie into what we're talking about with games and projects.
Conversations are the backbone of human connection. And just last night, I had 2 of my high school friends over to my house. And just the decades of conversations I've had with them. I'm an only child, but I don't see myself that way because of my friendships that I've had for decades. And I think that those friendships stem from the conversations that we have. And so if you were to go back in time as an educator to the teacher lecture model, those conversations don't happen. And even if the conversation isn't a 50-minute bury your soul conversation with somebody, even if it's a 2-minute brain break, would you rather live in this city or that country? Why? Go, right? That those conversations, I think, connect to our humanity. And ultimately, yes, education is important, but I think being a good human is more important. And so when you can create classrooms that allow people to be humans and not English readers or mathematicians, and those are important, obviously, and they should be happening, but you need to give them, students, people, conversation. So much of our world is challenged because it's hard to have conversations. And if we as teachers aren't creating environments for students to have fun conversations and maybe sometimes uncomfortable conversations, well, how are they going to then become adults that can get along with people and see things differently and accept that, okay, well, you feel differently than I do on this one, but I'm not going to demonize you because of it. So yeah, we got to be human, and to be human, we have to converse, and that's key.
So true. And beautifully said as well. Conversations really are the backbone of our human existence. And speaking of conversations,
Yeah,
you also co host a podcast for educators. Do you
I
want to
do.
share a little bit about that, Authentic Educators, and what you're doing over there?
Sure. Yeah. My friend Dave and I are co hosts of Authentic Educators. Our tagline, a podcast for teachers by teachers about best lessons, favorite classroom moments, and strategies you can use today. The mafia conversation that we talked about in this episode was actually the impetus to create that podcast. And like you, share really amazing, authentic experiences in the classroom. So I think we have a lot of similarities between our two shows. You can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, and on Apple Podcasts. And our email is authenticedpod@gmail.com. We'd love for you to like and subscribe, just as Dave and I both love your podcast as well. And yeah, the whole concept is every episode either is an incredible lesson, a favorite moment you've had in the classroom, or strategies you can use today. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone in our episodes.
I love it. Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you on our podcast today. And for our audience, if you have found this conversation valuable, hit the like button so more educators can see it. Drop a comment with your favorite engagement strategy, whether we shared it today or it's something completely different. And subscribe for more interviews like this to keep the conversations going.